Okay, everyone, very nice work. This lesson is nice and short and sweet. Okay, this is the last exercise for lesson 7. Don't repeat yourself, and it's condensed CSS rules. This page's table is styled using too many CSS rules. Look carefully through the styles to see which ones are repeats, and then create the same stylistic effect by only using 6 CSS rules. Here is the table for reference. Okay, so this should look familiar. We worked with this information in a previous exercise. It's the 4 art time periods and the famous artists that belong to each of those time periods. We want our table to look like this, but with only 6 CSS rules. So let's go get started. So when we run our code, you will notice that the table is styled exactly how we want it to look, okay? The only thing is we want to do it with less rules. If we take a look at the CSS, you'll notice that there are way more than 6 rules. Okay, we don't need to count them all. We can just quickly tell by scanning. All right, so we want to condense this down. All right, I mentioned earlier that it's really important to make sure you're examining your HTML because that's essentially what you're styling. So it's really important to know what's going on in the HTML web page so that you can style it appropriately in the CSS. Okay, so if we take a look, we'll see that our table has a table header row with a class for each art time period, and the table data rows also have a class for each time period. So this is going to be really useful when it comes to styling. All right, so over in the style sheet, let's examine our CSS rules. So it looks like we have a rule for every single table header column. So table header Renaissance, which is this, okay, font size 22 and then bolder. Table header impression, font size 22 and bolder. Okay, so on and so forth to cubism and surrealism. I can see that this property and property value is repeated 4 times. Okay, same thing for the table data rules. We still have color white repeating 1, 2, 3, 4 times. All right, so when you find yourself using the same thing over and over, typing it over and over, that's probably a clue that, you can kind of combine that all into one rule. Okay, makes your code a lot more concise, easy to read, easy to edit. All right, so here we are going to combine all of our table headers into one rule. So table header for Renaissance, and rather than copying and pasting this, typing it, I'm going to copy and paste it. All right, so my table header for impression, and you can use the table there on the right to make sure you're not missing anything. Okay, so cubism and surrealism. Great. All right, so we got all of these combined into one selector. Okay, I know I want them all to be bolder and 22, so I'm just going to take out that background color cyan. I'll leave that down here for now because I'm going to need it in a second. All right, so that should take care of all of the table headers. Okay, so that's good. We're good to go. I guess I don't need that background color dark cyan. I see it here. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now for the table data, we know that they're all going to be white, so same concept. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add in all of the table data selectors and combine them into one rule because they're all the same font color. So I'm going to grab cubism and add that up here. And then finally, the surrealism. Okay, so I know that they're all going to be white, so I'm just going to go ahead and set that up to be color white. So that takes care of my table header and table data styling. But now each art period kind of has its own background color. So we need to add in a selector for each of those. So starting with the Renaissance. Okay, I know that's all in the Renaissance class, so I'm just going to use class as my selector, and the background color for the Renaissance art period is dark cyan. Okay, now for my Impressionism, it is this medium aquamarine, so I'll just take out the properties that I don't need anymore. Okay, and then Impression class selector. Okay, I don't need this. This is a repeating rule. I already took care of that up at the top. All right, for cubism, the background color is that dark salmon. I don't need the font weight and font size. I already took care of that up at the top. All right, here's another repeating rule. We can delete that. And last but not least, my surrealism class should have a background color of paleo goldenrod. Okay, so last but not least, I can get rid of this rule. It's a repeating rule. All right, and I think we got it. There's 6 rules. We should still be able to run this and get the same result. Hopefully everything works out. Let's go back and run this in a new HTML window. Looks good. Okay, so a lot less code, same result. They should definitely get the don't repeat yourself principle across. Okay, I did not do a scan for before to see how many lines we started with, but I'm going to go ahead and guess it was over 40 lines, and we've condensed it down to 24 lines. So that means that we kind of almost cut it in half, all right? And that's pretty significant because just taking a look at this compared to what we started with, this is a lot more readable, easier to understand, and if we had to go back and edit this, it would be a lot easier of a task to do. All right, very nice job on lesson 7. This wraps up the don't repeat yourself principle. Any questions on it, please leave it down in a comment. Nice job, everyone.